Amber and her ways. Amber and I are wed. You may describe Amber as a looker. She really is quite attractive. She always wears tasteful, rather traditional clothing. I'm just a regular-looking dude. She wears cosmetics and styles her hair up all the time. She always puts on makeup before going anywhere, even on her days off. She is really well organized. For a living, I evaluate proposals and contracts. Amber works as a middle school English teacher. Her Hyundai Elantra is white. That appears to be the official vehicle of the public school system. She backed into my car, leaving a small dimple in the fender of her vehicle. I also have a small dimple. In our junior year of college, we happened to meet in the same class. We make plans for ourselves. My goal was to have 2 children and a successful career. She wanted to succeed based only on her own abilities. We were married the summer after we graduated. Life was pleasant. We appeared to have everything working in our favor. Our marital status is almost 8 years old. One evening, Amber was wearing a robe when she welcomed me home from work. Pulling open her robe, she said, "Care to join me in the bedroom?" Her lovely figure urged you in. Amber said, "Wait here, I've got dinner," and made her way into the kitchen once our heart rates had stabilized. She returned carrying a 6-pack and a pizza. "Jason, do you think we could start a family?" she said after we had a few slices and a few beers. I grinned. Although we had previously discussed starting a family, we didn't think the time was ideal. "When were you thinking?" "In November, that way I could deliver between school years." "Well, that seems like a really good strategy. Would you like to continue the celebration?" In bed, we had a good time. I slept through a fairly restful night. "We're having dinner in the microwave tonight since I have a book club meeting at 6. I'll see you at approximately 9:30, Amber declared before heading off to school. At work, I was a little more upbeat. I called Amber's parents during lunch and invited them over because I was excited about beginning a family and they lived nearby. "John, is it possible for you and Maggie to visit this evening? We have some great news to share with you. Amber is expected back at 9:30 p.m. from a book club meeting." "Hold on, let me ask Maggie to confirm." After a little silence, John said, "Sure, see you later this evening." Approximately 3 o'clock, I received an email that had me scratching my head. "Arrive at Garden Inn at 6 p.m. Avoid being late." It came from an email address I didn't recognize. It was pointless to try and work. My curiosity was overflowing. So, unable to focus, I made my way to the Garden Inn via rush hour traffic. I parked when I reached a spot where there were no other automobiles. A couple more cars had arrived by little before 6 o'clock, but I didn't recognize any of them. To my astonishment, Amber's vehicle came up on the opposite side. What an outfit she was wearing as she got out. I had never seen such a gorgeous blue suit before. It was quite imaginative of her to wish to meet here. I exited, locked up, walked a little distance, and then gasped in shock. She drove up next to a man who had just gotten out of his car, snagged his arm, and quickly planted a kiss on his cheek. My stomach was knotted, my legs were weak, and blood was rushing to my head. I started perspiring, leaned over my car, and started throwing up. Regrouping, I reached for my sunglasses, a jacket, and one of my floppy golf hats. Hopefully, since she's never seen me on the golf course, she wouldn't identify me. I hurried through to the lobby. While the man was checking in at the counter, Amber was seated in the lounge area. I approached the leaflet rack where the guided tours, museums, and hot air balloon excursions were advertised. I said I was busy reading the pamphlets. I pulled out my phone and activated the video. I covered it up with the help of a booklet. I gave Amber another look and felt a stab to the heart. She had a pizza box and a 6-pack in her lap. After the man had completed his check-in, they made their way to the elevators. My video would not stop playing. I bided my time till they got into the lift. I located the stairs fast. I reasoned that I would have a fair chance of seeing where they went because there were only 4 floors. I stopped on the 2nd floor. They would have left long ago if they were going here. Moving on to the 3rd level. They were turning away from me just in time. The idiot slid his keycard in as they came to a stop a few rooms from the end. How kind he was to hold the door open for Amber. The door shut. I switched off my video and was at a loss for what to do. I made the decision to hold out for a brawl and made my way back to the parking area. Something evil was on my mind. I took out my phone and dialed AAA. If it's less than 50 miles, we receive a free tow. "Hi, the automobile of my wife won't start. Can it be towed to my residence?" 20 to 30 minutes. "Excellent, I'll be ready." After crossing the parking lot, I got into my car, proceeded to Amber's car, and waited for the tow crew to arrive. In Amber's automobile, I sat. A duffel bag was in the front seat with her. Naturally, I took it off and found a tampon and a change of clothes. Once she came home, she would dress all conservative. I was clueless all along. After that, I came across a ring box and opened it to reveal her wedding band. Although I'm not sure what my blood pressure was, it had to be extremely elevated. I asked for a large favor over the phone to my handyman friend Charlie. "Hi Charlie, it's Jason here. Could you perhaps change the locks on my doors tonight?" "Yes, there is trouble in paradise." "Excellent, I'll be there at 7. See you shortly." Perhaps the prick forgot to lock his car. Indeed, let's find out who this is. I learned that he had a wife and a small child from a car seat in the back. I discovered a registration card in the glove compartment. Bennett Chad. After placing it in my pocket, I exited his vehicle. AAA arrived. After exchanging niceties, he started to retrieve Amber's car. Finishing her car's loading took very little time. After the tow vehicle left, I made my way home. Together, we made our arrival. Amber's automobile took a few minutes to plant. After giving the man a tip, he drove off. I unlocked her garage door, backed her car inside, and parked it when the tow crew departed. I came inside and threw the duffel bag on the couch. It would still be roughly 2.5 hours until she returned from the book club. I went up to her closet after grabbing the large garbage sacks and the box of leaf bags. Her closet was empty after a couple trash sacks. I'm heading to her dresser. I filled several more sacks with her trinkets and dainties. I'm heading to the restroom. Everything, perfumes, soaps, and makeup, was thrown into another bag. I carried the sacks one by one to the garage and loaded them into Amber's Elantra's back seat. There's not a lot of room in the back seat of that car. When Charlie arrived, he got to work on the locks. He recommended that we also adjust the garage door openers. Only my opener was working now. After paying Charlie, I went to get a glass of water. I swigged a fast scotch. It's almost 9 o'clock, and the worst is going to happen. In the brief time I had left, I took out our joint credit cards, gave a call, and reported them as stolen. I looked up that address on the registration slip that I pulled out. The owners were identified as Brad and Christy. I'll have to share my knowledge with Christy. My phone rang a few minutes after 9. Amber was the one. "Hello," she cried out in a trembling, terrified voice. "Jason, my car has been stolen." "Amber, I had it towed to the house actually. Why don't you ask Chad to drive you?" "Oh no, oh God." I ended the call. My palms were sweating and my heart was pounding. The doorbell went off. At this hour of the night, who would be here? Whoa, I should have remembered to invite John and Maggie earlier today. This was going to become interesting, fairly quickly. "Come on in, John and Maggie. Would you want something to drink? Amber phoned me just now, I should see her soon." On the couch, they sat. I got John a drink of beer. It was evident that I was anxious. Amber was let out of a cab that arrived instead of Chad. Running up the walkway, she attempted to use her key. She rang the doorbell when that failed. I opened the door for her. She was wearing runny mascara. She had been in tears. Amber had just begun the "Jason, I'm so sorry. Mom, Dad, what are you doing here?" "Honey, what's wrong?" said Maggie. "Are you okay?" I said something. "Amber, I called your parents around noon today and told them we had a big announcement for them." "John and Maggie, last night while Amber and I were doing the normal things married couples do?" she asked. I went on. "After that, Amber went downstairs, got a 6-pack and a pizza, and we had dinner on the bed. Jason, do you think we could have a family, maybe in a few months so I could deliver between school years?" she said. First to speak, Maggie said, "Amber, that's wonderful." I raised my voice and said, "Wait, there's more. I discovered that Amber prefers to have slept with men other than me at around 6 o'clock tonight." "Jason, we need to work this out privately," gasped Amber. I simply said, "As such, she's either a worker or has lovers, and I won't stay married to her regardless of which one it is." Amber fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "I've got a video here, John. Let's watch it together," I said. "Does that outfit seem familiar?" "All right, she's waiting while he checks in. Look, she's got booze and pizza for him too." They head in that direction, the elevator. Nothing is on the 2nd level. They are located on the 3rd floor. He's got her door held. "John, am I assuming too much already?" John raised his voice. "Which is it, Amber? Are you a worker?" "Daddy, no." "So you have lovers?" asked John once more. Amber remained silent, now sobbing uncontrollably. "Where's your wedding ring, Amber?" I inquired. She answered, "It's at the jeweler's being cleaned." "Are you serious?" "On your mother's grave, swear." "I apologize, Maggie." Amber realized she had been duped. "Maggie, please locate the ring box inside that duffel bag." You see, she brings a change of clothes with her in an attempt to trick me. After removing the ring box, Maggie stood up and moved across the room to face Amber. Maggie struck Amber across the face after she extended her hand. "How could you?" yelled Maggie. Amber was crying hysterically now. "Jason, what happens now?" inquired John. I loaded her car with everything I prepared for her. Her credit cards have been revoked and new locks installed. She has left the area. "No, I want to stay with you, Jason," said an enthused Amber. "I cherish you. I still desire your child. There is no possibility that will ever occur. Please go now," I yelled back. "I refuse to leave," she declared. John stood up, approached, and took her bag. He then gave her an intense pinch on her ear and, with her screaming in agony, hauled her to her feet. Marching her to her car, he brought her to the garage door. "Enter now and leave this place. You are also not invited to stay at my residence." John gave an order. Slumped over the wheel, Amber slid into her car, stunned. John remained still. He banged on the glass. "Go, get out of here now." She turned on her car and pulled away. Maggie, John, and I stood on the porch, watching her slowly go away. We gave each other group hugs. I pledged to stay in contact. They expressed regret for their daughter, but I told them that since Amber was the only one who did this, they didn't have to. I shut off my computer, took a scotch glass, and flopped down on the sofa. I wept until I fell asleep. The following day was a haze. Amber took money out of the ATM. I used electronic payments to pay off our credit cards, reducing the balance. A phone call to HR to request a new deposit location for my pay. I sought a lawyer to draft the divorce papers and called some acquaintances. I went to Christy's place by car. It was not Chad's automobile. A tap on the door. Christy, you don't know me, but my wife is acquainted with your spouse. My name is Jason. I must show you this quite bad footage that I have. I gave the video to Christy and turned it on. The video played and she just stared. She said, "When was this taken?" "Around 6 o'clock last night." When she returned home at around 9:30, I confronted her, and she didn't dispute it. "Though I don't have any evidence, I believe it has been going on for a while," I retorted. She questioned, "What are you going to do?" "I kicked her out last night and just came from my attorney who is preparing divorce papers." "Can you give me your attorney's name and number?" "Sure, get me a pad and pen and I'll give you my info and his info." Amber made a couple attempts to call, but I let it go to messages. She texted someone, "Jason, I need to collect my school records and computer from inside the house. Would you please allow us to speak?" I was terrified to see her. I started to perspire just thinking about it. I replied, 9:30 p.m. as I have a book club meeting, with a sly smile. I tried not to get wasted that evening at a sports bar. What gives me the strength to get it through this meeting is a tumbler of scotch on the rocks. When I arrived home at 9:20, I parked in the garage and shut the door. Amber's automobile was waiting for her. Unbidden, I pulled open the front door. Amber had not applied makeup and was wearing sweatpants. All she did was tie her hair back into a ponytail. She said, "Are you ready to talk?" All I did was shake my head no. I was not going to allow her to make her planned remarks. Entering the bedroom, she looked around, but there was nothing there. She went to get some stuff from the spare bedroom we had set up as an office. She had to make several journeys to acquire everything she required. "Are you ready to talk yet?" she questioned every time she came inside. I just shook my head no each time. Amber reached her breaking point. "Jason, you are the only person I have ever loved, and I adore you. I made a huge mistake. I'm confident we can resolve this. Please, will you give me a chance? You are mine. You are necessary to me. Would you kindly speak up?" I retaliated quickly. "You'll never realize the damage this has done to me. You will receive service of process tomorrow or this weekend, since my attorney is drafting the divorce documents." Her mouth was trembling and tears were streaming down her face. "Please, can we resolve this? I don't want a divorce from Jason. You can ask me anything. I pledge to be honest with you from now on and to never do anything to cause you to question my love for you. Amber, I only have one question, and I alone am able to respond to it. How am I possibly so wrong about you? You ought to go." My eyes started to mistletoe. With tears in her eyes, Amber walked out, but not before pleading with her to consider. "You are the only one I want." It was going to take more than one glass of scotch. A few days later, when I was organizing my emails, I came across the one that revealed the affair to me. In response, I said, "Thank you. You have no idea how much I owe you. You are an angelic protector." I thought about the possibilities all evening. Who alerted me to the situation and why? At last, I realized that it had to be someone who collaborated with Amber. Finding a florist, I arranged for a lovely bouquet of roses to be brought to Amber's school and left in the teacher's lounge along with a note that said, "For my guardian angel. I'm grateful." My angel sent me an email the next evening saying, "The flowers are beautiful. Thank you and you're welcome. Whoever you are, I thank you. My plan is to get together with you." I chose to email my angel back a few days later with the message, "As a small thank you, I'd like to take you and your husband out to dinner." The longer I lived there, the more I understood that I had to sell it. There were just too many memories. Life was difficult, with feelings ranging from anger to self-pity. Every day appeared to be getting better. Once more, I was genuinely productive at work. I was treated like I had a communicable illness by everyone. I suppose I was a bit tetchy when I was among people. I sent my angel an email, and it took approximately a week for me to receive a brief response that said, "Never married." Having lately shown that I cannot read women, I decided to take some time to consider what to say and how to say it. "Dinner, any day, any time, any place, any takers," was written on a card. I ordered more flowers for the teacher's lounge with early in the morning. This kind of distraction was just what I needed, so it was helpful. Actually, I was waiting tensely for a response. Conversations with coworkers were picking up again. One day, the office gossip had the guts to question, "Too soon to talk about it?" At lunch, "Not really. As a result of her infidelity, I filed for divorce." Shocked, I talked to a few. "I need to return to my work. I'll be all right. Your help is much appreciated," I said as I walked out of the lunchroom. On Friday afternoon, my wait was ended. The Blooms have a lovely appearance. Oscars on Saturday at 6 p.m. Casual attire is suggested. My angel sent me an email that said, "Pink Rose." Although I had never heard of the Oscars, a fast online search revealed that they are held in a city around 40 miles distant. She wants no one to see her with me. I forced a grin on my lips. I'll wear a jacket, sunglasses, and my floppy golf hat. This was incredibly helpful to me. I went shopping near the Oscars on Saturday afternoon because I was so eager. I purchased 12 pink roses. A woman with a pink rose in her hair exited the silver Elantra as it pulled up and entered. I asked, "Perhaps these are for you," when I found her in the restaurant. "They really are lovely. Please come along with me. My name is Jason. Zoe is my name. It's good to meet you at last. You are free to remove your mask. It was intended to be if we are seen here. It is my pleasure to meet you, Zoe. Just to be clear, once your divorce is final, this will be our only meeting. Married men don't date me. My universe follows a set order, and it always will. I accept it as well. I can't even begin to understand what's going through my heart and mind at this point. So that you're not on a date, let's refer to this as a fact-finding meeting. Nothing negative there. We placed our order for drinks, dinner, dessert, and coffee. Zoe was probably in her mid-20s, very much like me in terms of appearance. We dragged our conversation over 100 different topics. With coffee in front of us after supper, I worked up the guts to inquire, "How did you know and why did you let me know?" After taking a sip, Zoe set down her cup and laid her palm over mine. One day as I was wrapping up my paper marking, I noticed Amber emerge from the teacher's restroom wearing a lethal outfit and carrying a duffel bag. That was something she had never, ever worn to school. She talked about you all the time, so I assumed you two were going to have a good evening. However, I remembered that she told you she was doing the book club again when she answered your call during lunch. My reality follows a certain order, as I have explained, and this is not how things should be. I followed her to the Garden Inn, lagged behind her but got stuck in traffic behind her. At 6 p.m., a man greeted her in the parking lot. I saw her place the identical duffel bag in her desk the day I sent you the email. Since your email address is on the teacher emergency contact list, it was simple to locate your name. My email address from school was not used. I figured that since Amber is so organized, we would meet at the same location at the same time. It proved to be accurate. I need to keep my identity a secret for the time being because I have to work with these folks. I meant no harm at all to you. I raised my hand to my mouth to give her a kiss. The messenger is not at blame, but the message hurt. I'm grateful. I'll head out first. I'm grateful for the roses. I was never allowed to bring the others home. As I paid the bill, she said, "You surprised me," Zoe continued. When the first flowers arrived, my heart raced a little, and when the second bouquet arrived, it raced even more. You have style. Oh, and a few married women were among the 6 women who would have accepted your invitation to dinner. Miss Zoe, I would like to meet you for dinner again, say a few months from now. That would be nice. Good night, she said, walking out of the eatery. It was a breeze to converse to her. I delivered pink roses to the teacher's lounge on Monday along with the words, "It couldn't have been any better." That evening, I got an email saying, "You don't play fair." Things were beginning to settle into harmony. There were fewer and more isolated mood swings. I sent pink roses to the teacher's lounge a few weeks later. The text of the text was, "Please remember me." A single-word email, unforgettable, arrived later that evening. My phone rang that weekend while I was in my apartment going over contracts. A private number. "This is Zoe." "Hello, Jason. Am I disturbing anyone?" "Well, actually, I'm channel surfing and unable to find anything to watch, so I guess I can stop and talk with you. I'm glad to hear your voice," she giggled. "How are you doing?" "I'm doing all right. On a Saturday evening, what are you doing at home?" I assumed they would be lining up you for a date. "Well, that's what you keep thinking." "How is Amber's situation going?" "She moved out the day after I stopped talking to her. She attempts to call, but I let it go to voicemail. Every day, she texts 1 or 2 times. I can't wait for the divorce to finalize." The attorneys reached a resolution. "I suppose I'm still married, because I'm shocked to receive this call." I said that I don't go out with married men. The welfare check is this. It's harmless to have a conversation with a married man going through a divorce. We conversed for 20 more minutes. I mentioned, "I've got a tough week coming up and may need a welfare check next weekend," as we bid each other goodbye. "Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll give it some thought." "Good night," Zoe said, hanging up. It's so easy to talk to her. The next week she called, and over the course of those numerous calls, I got to know her quite well. After having an affair with her roommate as a sophomore in college, she met Jeff, the love of her life. He had been her high school boyfriend. He dismissed it with a "Hey, I'm a guy," according to her. This has no bearing on us. She claimed that she ended things with him right away and hasn't been in a committed relationship since. We discovered we had a great deal in common. "It appears that this occurred 6 years ago, and your security fences are still fairly tall," I inquired of her. "Is this also my destiny?" There was a brief pause before she answered, "I don't think so. I think you still have a lot of love to give. You will be persuaded to give it another go by someone." Despite attending multiple parties, I couldn't seem to handle the attention of the soon-to-be single. Simply put, I wasn't interested in it yet. Zoe claimed that although she was dating, most men would stop contacting her after a few dates if she hadn't shared a bed with them. Amber attempted to text Jason one last time the night before my divorce was finalized, saying, "Jason, please stop the divorce. I've evolved. I know what matters, and that's you. Stop this, please, please." I was at a loss for words to reply. "Say nothing at all if you are unable to say anything kind." My official divorce with Amber was finalized the next day. That evening, Zoe sent me an email that said, "Now that you are single again, you can call me." I gave the number, she gave me a call. A man responded. My heart dropped to the ground. "Hi, is Zoe available?" "Zoe, is this your phone?" I inquired. The man yelled, "Hello." Zoe responded, "Hey, this is Jason. Is now not the best time? I can give you a call later." "No, why do you ask that?" "Well," a guy responded. Zoe chuckled. "Now calm down. My residence is at home." "That's my father." I breathed deeply. Wow, my heart sank when he answered. "That's good. Well, don't you have a mean streak?" "No, it indicates that you love me more than you've acknowledged." "That's nice. I got you there." "Correct. It's pretty clear that I still have some problems to resolve." "Not an issue. I'm prepared to take on the task." We prepared dinner for the following evening. It was soon twice a week. Many more months with numerous weekly dates. Zoe questioned, "Is Amber still trying to get in touch with you?" During one of our dates, I found her message chain on my phone, opened it, and gave it to Zoe. She scrolled through at least 100 text messages while sitting calmly for many minutes. Amber was keeping me updated on everything going on in her life through her twice daily text messages, which she used as a diary. I received updates on Maggie and John, the status of her counseling, and information about the people she collaborated with. When she said, "Jason, I can feel her pain," her eyes were wet. She genuinely adores you. It makes logic if you give it enough thought. She married me because I'm still the Jason she fell in love with. The Amber I married and fell in love with is no longer with us. She can never be replaced by this Amber. I've moved on. Why didn't you ever respond to any of these?" asked Zoe again. I never wanted to give her any hope that we would get back together. To be honest, I had a long-term expectation of remaining unmarried. I realized now how much I wanted a wife like Zoe. Again, I hid behind the rose petals because I was still having trouble saying what I wanted to say. 12 pink roses with "I think I love you" tag were sent to the teacher's lounge. The next day, I was overly nervous. Was that a statement I should have made sooner? What if her response wasn't appropriate? After lunch, my phone started to buzz. Zoe texted, "I know I love you." About a week later, I sent another dozen pink roses to the teacher's lounge after making up my mind. The school secretary came in carrying the flowers just as the teachers were filing into the lounge for lunch. She said, "Ladies, another bouquet for someone." One of the single instructors, Katie, stood up right away and opened the small packet. She said, "Oh my, listen to this, will you marry me?" Everyone in the room gasped at once. Katie said, "If whoever these are intended for won't marry him, I will, so give me his name and number." Excited beyond belief, Zoe stood forward and accepted the roses from Katie. "On getting these, I'm grateful." Zoe gave an explanation. The whisper got louder. "The Princess of Ice." "Zoe, really? No way, who is he?" "And that's awesome." Katie remarked, "You mean these have been for you all along? Who is the fortunate one?" Zoe replied, "Jason Thompson." "Amber's Jason." "Not at all. Jason is now Zoe's." Katie exclaimed, "Wow, Amber's going to just freak out." My secretary came on my door while I was at my desk eating lunch. She said, "Are you busy?" "No, what's up?" With the roses in her hands, Zoe sprang into my arms and said, "Yes, yes, yes, yes," as she burst through the door. That day, Amber skipped school early and took a few sick days. After that, she requested to move to a new school. The SMS messages ceased. Throughout our courtship, Zoe and I had many cuddles and kisses. I didn't want to make a mistake here. Zoe's hand slid down one Sunday as we were cuddling and watching a movie. "Do you miss the bonding?" Zoe inquired. "Most definitely, but I get lots of mixed emotions if I dwell too long on it." "Jason, I'm afraid. I gave Jeff very little time. I'm not even somewhat worried. Knowing you, I know you'll go above and beyond to make you happy as well." We had fun as she unbuckled and unzipped my pants. I thought that was great. At least one more is due to me. She got up, took my hand, and ushered me into the bedroom. With desire in our eyes, we undressed and stood there, me wearing nothing but hers. Zoe generally wore conservative clothing, so I was pleasantly delighted to see her bare, firm, fit, and gorgeous. She vowed, "I promise I'll get better." It was amazing how much love was made. Regards, Jeff. It was amazing how tight she was. I had a very good life ahead of me if she felt she could do better. There was a little ceremony. Zoe's parents were frugal with their wedding budget. After we got married, we were going through the wedding card box when we came across one from Amber. In her writing, she said, "I'll always love you." Zoe replied, "I should send her roses for giving you to me." "No," I shook my head. I try to never intentionally hurt anyone. After giving it some thought, Zoe came up and gave me a firm hug and kiss, saying, "You're right. I had a nice man marry me. Our bodily existence is simply amazing. I am the proud father of a young boy named Jay and a little girl named Z." When Zoe does something, she constantly says, "You are always welcome to join me." Although she hosts the book club out of our home, she attends it. No journey is necessary. Several years later, I'm still developing. As luck would have it, we happened to run into Amber at the supermarket. I was gripping my finger while Z walked. Jay was in Zoe's grasp. "Amber, you look fantastic. How are you doing?" I inquired. "It's good to see you too, Jason and Zoe." "Wow, he truly resembles you, Jason," commented Amber. I heard you got the vice principal job, said Zoe. Many congratulations. I'm grateful. It keeps me occupied. The previous individual lacked organization. Amber said, well, I should run, as she blinked away her tears. She must still be unmarried because I didn't see any bands on her fingers. It dawned on me that 12 years prior, we had both achieved our desired outcomes. My daughter was successful on her own and I had a boy. Ironic how that transpired. My comment, most cheating is at 2 years and then 5 to 7 based on whether wife or husband. Menopause cheating is much lower, but gray divorces are way up, nearly twofold in last 40 years. Do you agree? Comment down below, sub and bell, and I will see you in the next video.